Welcome to Martial Mentality, a martial arts inspired podcast. Today I have with me Coach Chris Corrado and Coach Joseph Blackwelder.
Oh, shucks.
Listen,
One day.
So today we're actually going to be talking about coaching. But before we do that, Chris, you got an event that you want to maybe tell us about?
Yes. First off, as always, thank you for having me on, Sifu, Coach. We've known each other a while now, so any opportunity I can get some time to talk to your viewers, it's much appreciated. So I'm with Light Bright Boxing. We're just right down the street from the school here, this amazing school. And we've got pro fights December 6th and amateur fights December 13th. So that's a Saturday and then another Saturday. Bell time for both events are at 5 o'clock. The pro will be at the Rock Hill Sports and Event Center downtown, and then the amateur will be at Rock Hill Gymnastics. So these are two really awesome events for you to attend to. The pro one is being put on by two promoters, Andrew Stokes and Anthony Burkett. That's Stokes Promotions and Laced Up Promotions. And there's going to be a lot of pros, probably from different parts of the country coming in. We have our pro fighter, Vit Y, who actually has a rematch with a guy that unfortunately he lost to the last time. So we're pushing really hard for him to get this victory. So please be on the lookout for that. It's only $40 general admission to come on in, and that's a really nice center they have downtown. Then the amateur bouts, which will be the following week, like I said, on the 13th, we've got about 35 matches scheduled. You know, a lot of times people back out or something happens or someone doesn't make weight. So, but you still should have at least 20 matches, and that's not bad because that's only like $20 general admission. So, like I said, we got about half a dozen guys on our team boxing on that. Some, it's their first bout, so it's always interesting to see the process of getting somebody there and then how they feel afterwards.
Nice.
Which is a great segue into our topic because I wanted to talk about coaching. And so since you have this upcoming event, I'm going to start with you, Chris. So what do you feel like as far as, well, what do you think it takes for somebody to become a coach in anything?
You have to know how to talk to people and explain something. Like you could be an A student, right? That doesn't mean you know how to explain what you've learned. Like sometimes a C student can end up being a better coach and explaining stuff better. I always like to use the analogy of the NBA, like Michael Jordan, you know, I think he's the best basketball player of all time, and you might disagree, but you got to at least think he's one of the best, right?
Oh, he is the best.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I was just going to be fair to the people.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Sorry, LeBron haters.
Yeah. So, but he's not coaching. Right. But then you got someone like Steve Kerr, who has done a phenomenal job, you know, as a head coach, and you know, he was just obviously, if you saw him on the basketball court, you'd think he was amazing.
Right.
But in the NBA, it's a lot more fierce competition. So,
right.
But look what he was able to do. Much better coach, in my opinion, than player, and reverse of, say, Michael Jordan.
Right. I've heard the analogy, and, you know, I'll probably be punished for not knowing this. Mike Tyson's coach. I don't remember the name, but
I don't know his name. I don't know.
Like either way, people always make that reference. Like, would you rather be coached by Tyson or his coach?
Of course, his coach.
Of course, his coach, right? I mean,
well, I mean, you look at some people. I'm gonna use the NFL as an example. There are a lot of people who never played, but sometimes can dissect the game better than. Sometimes.
Some people get pretty serious about it.
They really do.
They really do, yeah.
And you know, but then you also see some players who become coaches, and then you know, vice versa. So to me, I agree with you, Coach. If you're not able to explain it, then how good of a coach can you really be? You know?
Right.
You got to know how to motivate people, and treat everyone with the same level of respect. Yet some people learn differently, so you got to learn like their personality. Whether they learn by, hey, just do that, or sometimes you got to show them.
Right.
Sometimes reading, watching. It's all just depends on how you learn something.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Right.
Yeah, so one thing that I've learned is like, of course, you have visual learners, you have kinesthetic learners, you have auditory, So some people you can just give commands and they kind of, I can pick that up.
Right.
Or you have somebody that if you just show them the movement, they can mimic.
Yeah.
And then you have some people that need the repetition and practice to kind of say, oh, so this is how I do it. And then you have some people who are like a combination of all of those things.
Right.
And like you said, you got to kind of pay attention to who you're coaching and know how to communicate with them to transfer that skill.
Yeah. I guess I could tell a quick. I mean, it's not much of a story, but it directly relates to this topic. But I used to be a pretty avid runner, and I mean, I still run now. It's just I don't do the distance I used to. But I had a good buddy who had been out of the army. This is not somebody that like he'd been out of the army probably 7 or 8 years already, and hadn't ran. I mean, in years. But I was really into it at the time, and I was telling this guy, like, like, you have so much more in you than you think. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can make it a mile." I was like, "No, you will easily make a mile. You'll make it way longer than a mile. You won't even get warmed up till 2 miles." Is what I was telling him. I was trying to push him, but I was trying not to be pushy.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, "Okay, you know what? I'll take a jog with you." I was like, "All right." He made it 6 miles.
That's impressive.
But I've done that same like some other people don't want to hear that, like, "Come on, keep pushing, do this." Like, you can overstep that boundary.
Yeah.
You know what
can.
I mean? Because some people just don't want to hear that stuff.
That's true.
I am a very like try to motivate, like motivational kind of thing. Like, I feel like it's true. You've always got more in you if you bring it out, but some people just they don't want to hear that.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I know one thing I've learned about coaching too is that kind of like your Jordan Kerr analogy, you can be good at something and maybe you haven't like reached the pinnacle of whatever you're doing, but that doesn't mean that you're bad at it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people like sometimes like they think every coach has to be like the best.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly true.
Still people, right? I mean, like, I don't have a ton of experience, but I have met, like, most coaches I've met are outstanding. But there's the occasional one that's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, would you take, I mean, fitness advice from somebody who's not really working out or in shape or their diet's crap? It's like, or a dietitian who's just eating like crap. I mean, you know what I mean? You got to kind of practice what you preach.
Yeah,
so
you
to
do.
Speak,
You do.
know? Like, it's not like you have to have a ton of experience. And in my opinion, some people may not agree with it, but like, you gotta know what you're talking about at least. Like, we talked about this one day. We did a whole podcast on McDojos, right? And
Yep.
like, you don't have to have any kind of, like, it's different in boxing, I know, but like in a martial art, like traditional martial art, like say karate, even kung fu, taekwondo, anybody could just open a school.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's like opening a business in town.
We've experienced it.
Yes.
We've learned from somebody who, not to say they didn't have experience, they did,
Right.
but maybe they didn't have as much experience coaching and motivating as they needed to run the school like they needed to.
Right. Right.
And so, unfortunately, and Chris can attest to this, a lot of people ended up either quitting. Some people got injured.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Right.
Like, coaching goes beyond just telling somebody do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you become a mentor, father figure, mother figure, whoever to that person,
Mm-hmm.
and they're entrusting you with their safety and well-being.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing combat. You know what I mean?
Right.
when you can severely get hurt, I'm trusting you to keep me safe.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're telling me, I'm hoping it's going to help me in whatever arena I'm doing to not be hurt.
Yeah.
And some people are just bad coaches.
I'm sure, well, both of you hear this, I'm sure you've heard it, but there's that whole thing about, like, you don't play box. You play basketball, you play football, you don't play box. You
No.
don't play fight.
No. No.
I mean, you can kind of play fight, but it's like when you're doing it, you're not playing, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Coach, let me ask you this, Coach Chris. Teaching somebody to box, or maybe taking somebody who's never boxed before and coaching that, kind of maybe give us a quick look into the process. How does that work?
Sure. So what you probably need to do is ask them, have you ever done any type of martial arts or combat sports or anything ever, just to see where they're at and go from there. Or, have you played any sports in high school or college or anything like that? Where are you at in your physical shape right now?
Mhm.
You might have somebody that's just out of college that played basketball, or somebody that's like, I'm 50 years old. I haven't gotten off the couch in 20 years. So you have to consider, what that person is able to do at the moment.
Mm.
And then just start with the very basics, the foundation. Cause like a foundation of a house, it's like, boxing's a foundation. When you're building that foundation, if it's poor, it's going to crumble.
Mm.
So I always just try to see where that person's at, what they know, and then just slowly ease them in. Even if they've studied kung fu before, like judo or something,
Right.
let's just start very slow with the basics,
Yeah.
regardless of what level you're at.
Right. Right.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think
a
it's the
great
same thing
approach.
with, martial arts. So I mean, that analogy about the house. I mean, that's for us. That's that stance work. That's that basic movement. Like how are you moving? What's your body structure? How are you shifting your weight?
What you said about like whether it's a guy coming out of like college sports, right, or it's the 50-year-old guy. You've always got a quote about like good kung fu meets you where you're at.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh
No matter
yeah.
who walks through the
Yeah.
door, like
Yeah.
we got something for you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
Good
mean?
kung fu is
Like,
gonna meet you where you're at.
yeah,
And you know, not even, and I say good kung fu, that can be good boxing meets you where you're at. Good taekwondo, good
right.
karate,
A
whatever.
good coach,
A good coach
will meet you where
will
you're
meet
at.
you where you're at.
Yeah.
And so what he just said, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You assess, hey, what are your skills right now? And I think also what happens to a lot of coaches too. And one thing that I think coaching has taught me to be honest.
Mm.
Hey, you're not ready to do this.
Mm.
Maybe you should wait. Maybe let's work on that conditioning a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to. I talked about this on one of the other podcasts too. You don't want to give people like false confidence.
No.
I mean, sometimes you want to be encouraging, but you can't let people get that ego out of control or think they're ready for something if they're truly not.
Right.
That's bad.
You can't sugarcoat things like that because
That's
people are
right.
trying to, depending on the martial art you're in, punch you, kick you, throw
Yeah.
you, elbow you, break your arm out of.
You
So
can get hurt. Yeah.
right, you can't take that kind of chance.
Right.
Right.
And that's a good coach to know to say, hey,
Right.
we got to know our limits.
Let's
Yeah.
let's work on a few more things first for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes even as a coach, I've had people that I'm like, okay, this person's ready. And maybe their experience in whatever they're doing didn't necessarily go the best way.
Yeah.
And then I found that, okay, now I got to be an even better coach because now that person may be feeling a certain type of way that maybe they didn't get what they thought that, they put all this work in and maybe it didn't work out the way that they thought.
Yeah.
And anybody in this table, we all know we've competed. And sometimes like you'll grind and then you do something and it's like, done, I didn't do well or I didn't get the result.
That's life.
It is life.
That's
And
life sometimes.
and as a coach,
that's the ultimate competitor right there.
you've got to be able to motivate that person and keep them going because, you see a lot of people, especially nowadays, they'll quit and be like,
Right.
I don't want to do that because I didn't get what I wanted.
Yep. Didn't go so hot. Quit. Yeah.
It happens all the time. And everybody here has had a bad experience competing. That's just competition,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know? So Joe, I know that you're trying to get into coaching and I know that's a big goal of yours. And let me ask you how you feel about kind of your early journey into doing some coaching because I know you've been doing some coaching around the school here and things of that nature. So how's that going for you?
It's great. I kind of found out that I like to teach, not just with martial arts, with guitar, but I found out I was actually pretty decent at explaining things. Like you said earlier, I was actually pretty good at getting people to understand my message, right? So, and I'm so passionate about like not any kind of martial art, but just being physical. It's helped me a lot in my life. Just literally just physical exercise has helped my mental. I mean, I can't understate that. So, something else I found out back in the military is I was kind of persuasive, even with things that maybe it wasn't always a good influence, but I was pretty persuasive. You know what I mean? But so then the main thing was having the kids. Now I have to learn how to explain things a certain way, and everybody does learn different. So I have came across people who did not like my style of teaching, and I thought that was just, part of the course. Not everybody learns differently, so But so far it's been great, and I think I'm taking the right steps, to what I'm trying to do, like the type of coach I'm trying to be. It's not necessarily just a kung fu or boxing. Like mine's going to be more fitness, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of self defense,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, training, getting some experience under my belt with some fighting, and going back to college next year for a personal trainer.
Oh, good, man.
So
Yeah,
I think I'm on a good path,
that's great.
and I'm enjoying every step of the way.
That's
It
great.
keeps you humble too.
It does. It does. And I think, everybody here can, state that, we've had good coaches
Yeah.
and we've had some bad coaches. So Chris, have you ever had an experience with a bad coach? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, sometimes patience is very important, and that's one of the things that you know I learned. People need to have with me, and I need to have with other people. That sometimes, like I said, some people just don't get things right away,
Hmm.
and you need to have patience with that person because if they're frustrated, and then you know, well, if you're doing something and you're frustrated because you're having trouble, and the other person seems frustrated that you're not getting it, it's just going to make it worse.
Mm.
So that's when you got to learn how to just keep find another way or word it differently or show them again. So yeah, I think patience has been the one that I feel like I've had to learn the hard way about when somebody's just not doing the right thing and taking
Mm.
care of you the way you need them to take care of you.
Yeah.
What about you, Coach? Have you
I
messed-
homeschool my kids, and I have to practice patience. I mean, weekly, daily. Like it is tough sometimes explaining something over and over, but there's all different age groups, but like um people learn at a different rate. It's just the way it is. And you wear it on your shirt all the time, consistency, right? Like
Mhm.
like repetition. So, you know, I'm working on my patience just as much when I do teach. You know what I mean? At least like homeschooling the kids. But it's the same thing in a class setting. Some people pick up right on stuff, and then other people, it takes time. They just don't get it at first, but that's okay.
So I know, and I don't know if you've experienced this in the boxing community, but a lot of people in the kung fu community tend to, specifically kung fu, tend to not want to teach children.
Hmm.
A lot of that's because they don't have the patience.
I think, like, so far in my like, I don't have really much experience, but like, it's different teaching kids
It
versus
is.
a teen versus an adult.
It is. It is.
It's definitely a different thing.
Motivating children can be very difficult, especially when
They don't want to be there.
right. You're right.
They just want to play and have
Yeah, they want
fun.
to have fun and play and so
Yeah.
how can you foster the discipline that they need but also keep it entertaining? That's
Yeah.
the challenge.
Mm,
And that's where you need to be a good coach and a good motivator, like both of you said. So when you're dealing with a group of people that, because they're rambunctious.
Yeah.
You've seen them here, and I'm sure you deal with them over at the boxing academy. They can be rambunctious.
There's a time and place for sternness and discipline, and there's a time and place for loving and caring.
Yes.
Like when it comes to coaching, not like maybe coaching, not the word, just coaching or leadership. You know what I mean? Another example I'll give you is I had a family member who was on some hard times, and I'll say they was doing some bad stuff, drugs, and it was with a person, like they had a relationship with a person who was also doing drugs, and they're pretty young,
Mhm.
so a lot of people was telling them what most people would say, straighten up, you're being, yada yada yada, like, but I kind of approached it like, look, I could do that, I could be that guy, but that's not how I'm coming at you right now.
Mhm.
I'm doing this. I'm talking with you because I care about you.
Mhm.
I've been down like different roads too, and I managed to get myself out. So, let's talk about it
Right.
from a loving standpoint.
Right.
Stern but loving, not just like quit what you're doing. You know what I mean? They done heard that 100 times. It's not working. So I kind of think about that too, even when it comes to like teaching kids or teaching. There's a time and place, because I have like yelled at the kids. I've gotten frustrated. I'm human, but like sometimes it just doesn't work. So sometimes, like, there's been days where River, he's not really about sparring. So I was like, you know what, today you don't have to spar.
Right.
It's like just sit it out, learn, breathe. Don't get frustrated.
Right. I try, so I used to be no, you're gonna spar. You gotta spar.
Right.
You have to spar. If you don't spar, you da 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 da. I used to be that, and then I kind of realized like maybe I need to lighten up a little bit, and I need to encourage this person to see why sparring is important.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah,
there's
like-
different drills that I can do in order to ease them into sparring where it's not so scary, especially kids.
Yeah.
Some kids they just don't like getting hit.
It's hard to do stuff you don't want to do or you don't like to do.
Right.
It's, you want kids to kind of enjoy it, to keep doing it. And then, like you said, understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
And now what do you hear in class? Can we spar? We want to spar. Let's spar. And it's like, well, y'all said you hated it, but now like you seem to like it.
right.
So, I mean, you can, like you just said, a good coach maybe sometimes has to be persuasive.
Right.
I want you to do this, but I'm going to coax you to do it in a good way.
I'm a firm believer, especially the older I get, in easing into things. It's like we say we want you to spar. It doesn't mean you got to go fight full contact. Right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In front of 1,000 people. It's like
exactly.
baby steps. You know what I mean? Just ease into it, have fun with it, learn,
Right.
grow.
Right.
So it's not like we're going to throw you in with the wolves right off the bat.
No, I don't think so. But I think, going to transition to Coach Chris real quick. Do you see sometimes maybe in the boxing community that sometimes that can be a thing where people just kind of throw you to the wolves? Like you go in there and just like, all right, go in there and just figure it out. Do you see that sometimes, or have you ever had anybody do that?
Sure. So, obviously with a little bit of guidance, sometimes you just had to go in there. But like you was, saying about sparring, is that sometimes, especially in the beginning when you're doing it, you kind of are being thrown to the wolves. You got plenty of training, but at the same time, if you haven't done it yet, it's very different when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
And when someone's trying to hit you and they're not stopping, it's not as easy to, you got to, once again, going back to patience, you could say, hey, why didn't you throw that right hook? But it's like they didn't see it. That's why it's a good coach to make sure you could see on the outside what's happening. So, yeah, I could see where you're coming from with that. Just when people, they might know a lot of stuff, but when you got to put it into play, it's very different.
Yeah. I'm still working on that with my training.
Well, you know what?
It's tough.
I think that's the hard part I'll tell you specifically for, what I do, with especially with the form work. Okay. It is hard to teach somebody, even though you're doing this choreographed sequence, that these are still fighting techniques. It seems like it just doesn't click, even though you can explain. And it's almost like they just need to have that epiphany experience moment where they go, aha. And I can coach and I can spoon feed all day long.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you're just going to have to experience this before it'll really just kind of click.
I've had a couple of those, specifically like form to fighting. Like I've had a couple of those like moments.
Right.
Right. That was pretty cool. Pretty cool experience.
But I think, and I'm sure Coach Chris can attest to this. Most people don't eat bitter enough and train enough to get to that point where they go, they don't get to that point because it's not instant gratification. It's not, oh, I got it right now, And so like today, Chris, we were talking to the kids today about the word gung fu. And for those of you in YouTube or podcast land, gung fu it's kung fu, but it's really pronounced with a G. And gung fu means hard work over time or concentrated skill and effort over time. So when you say gung fu, you're not really saying martial arts. You're practicing a concept of whatever I'm doing, I'm working hard at it, and I have to be patient to learn it because whatever skill I'm trying to learn, to be good, I know it's going to take time. That's basically kind of what you're saying.
Goes along with that famous Bruce Lee quote, I fear not the man who's thrown 1,000 kicks, but the man who's thrown the same kick 1,000 times.
10,000 times.
Oh, it's 10,000. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah. What did she say? I fear not the man that's practiced. 1,000 kicks, yeah, I fear the man that's practiced one kick 10,000 times or
Okay.
1,000 times, something like that.
So I probably saw the wrong meme.
Yeah, it's okay. It's close enough.
Because originally I thought Abraham Lincoln said that, and then memes on Facebook and Instagram, they're all legit, right?
Look,
Yeah,
man, I know
Tom Hanks.
This is a segue, but I hate that. Like they'd be like, Bruce Lee said this, and I'm like, did he really say that? Because I read that somewhere else too.
Right.
They just quote everything to him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the message though is, I like the message.
No, it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like you said earlier, repetition is the mother of learning.
I've gotten amazed by the strangest things too. Like it impresses me, people that are good at what they do. Like, and it doesn't matter what it is. I've been in like packaging places, you know what I mean, where they and I was like, I didn't have my package already boxed up. I was like, I got this item, I need to ship it, and you can tell the ones that's done it a while.
Oh, skill.
Boom, 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 zip, zip, zip. I mean, it's impressive.
It is.
I'll never forget when I moved from Japan back to the States. We had a moving company, and everybody who had already been through this told me, you better have your stuff ready, because whatever's not ready, like, it's gonna get packaged up their way and gone. And I'm telling you, that whole apartment, me and my wife, 30 minutes, they had all our stuff on the truck.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 guys. I think it was like 4 guys. They had everything we had packed up on the freaking truck. Couch, dressers, TV.
But see, to get gung fu, like we talked about today in class, you need patience.
Yeah.
To be a good boxer, you have to be patient. Most people are not born with the innate ability to just generate knockout power.
Yeah.
Or to have good footwork.
It's hard to teach kids patience.
Oh yeah, because it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time, and it also takes maturity.
Yeah, you're very right.
It takes maturity, and I think anybody who does what we're doing, and I'm sure Coach here can tell you that he's probably had boxers come in and be very immature, and have to, and they have to mature in what they're doing in order to kind of understand. Okay, this is what Coach was trying to tell me. This is why he was making me do this, and this is. Okay, I get it now. But sometimes you just got to learn for yourself.
I'll ask you this, Coach. Do you think that good coaches still need to be coachable?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, people who are very have actually trained a coach, not martial arts or anything, coaches volleyball.
Okay.
And so it's very easy to coach someone who is a coach, because they understand, maybe not exactly why you ask him to do something, but how to make it make sense. And so when they're like, okay, well, why are we doing this? And then you explain it to them like, oh, that makes sense. And they're easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. They kind of always said, like, in the Navy, right? It's like, or just in the military, but like, I don't know, maybe it's just a saying. They say good leaders lead from the front, but like the other side of it was, you could always tell an officer that was prior enlisted. Some people go straight into the military and they become an officer right off the rip. Other ones are enlisted first, then they become an officer. You can tell the difference.
So what's the difference between the two?
They're just down to earth. I mean, and they lead from the front. They're not just, they don't show up on the like, here's the thing, right? Like an ensign, an 01 can be a very young man, fresh out of officer candidate school. They are technically still a higher rank than a master chief, who could have been in the Navy 30 years, been doing this a long time. They can show up and sometimes they'll try to, like, in front of people, like, hey, I need you to go do this. That master chief will kind of pull them behind closed doors and like, look, that's not how things work. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But like, they're just more humble. They've had more experience and they have patience. They're better coaches, so to speak. So.
Let me tell you guys something.
Interesting.
It's interesting you say that. So, as I was a young man starting out learning how to be a coach, learning how to be a teacher, I had some students in my class that had more martial arts experience than I did, and it was a little intimidating. But then I realized, like, wait a second, like, I can still be the teacher, but I can still learn from you, and I don't have to try to prove that I'm the teacher. Just be the teacher.
Yeah.
but I still glean from your experience. And some of those individuals like Ed Moore,
Hmm.
I glean experience from Ed Moore. Everybody at this table knows that Ed Moore is the man, you know?
Yeah.
And he's done martial arts longer than some of us have been alive.
Yeah.
So guess what? I glean from him, and I'll go to him and ask him, and I'll say, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" Because he's got the experience, he's got the wisdom, he knows.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I go to you? You know. But then he's also humble enough to learn from me too, and he'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" So you're right. As a coach, I think you do need to be coachable, and sometimes you got to realize that. Another thing that I've learned that you don't know everything.
Yeah. And no one does. No one does.
Mhm.
You know, and I've met some coaches that, you know, even if clearly they don't know it, but they'll
Some of
make
them
up
do.
something, right?
Some of
Like
them
I'm gonna
do.
make something up, or I'm gonna pretend like I do. It's okay.
Right.
They ask you a question, I don't know, but I'll figure it out,
Right.
or maybe I don't have experience in that.
You got to be
area.
resourceful.
Right.
Yeah.
Be humble. It's
Yeah.
okay. You don't know. You don't know everything. We're all still learning. Just because we're the coach doesn't mean like we know everything. We don't. Maybe we're just skilled in the area, but we're still learning too.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to understand that. And so, like, I do think, like, if you can be real with whoever you're coaching,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to trust you a lot more.
Leading up to the fight I did, you was talking about having a pressure about like wanting to coach. So that's another factor of wanting to try to win it, right? I thought that was going to be like, that was going to kind of really keep me down, but honestly, it didn't,
No, it should.
like, still accomplished my mission,
You did.
so.
And I think, now,
Again, coaches are human. Like
you've had fights and you've had good experiences and bad experiences. You've had fights, you've had good experiences and bad experiences. I've had fights, I've had good experiences and bad experiences. Not every, and I think some people think that coaches, oh, you got to have the best record ever, and you gotta,
Right.
you've done this and you've done this, and you have all these
Right.
accomplishments. And maybe your coach doesn't have all the accomplishments, but they have the experience and they can explain it,
Right.
and they can guide you.
That's kind of, yeah, exactly what you pulled the words out of my head. Is at first I thought like maybe I shouldn't be telling people or even these younger people like do this but I was like, you know what, actually like it kind of actually helped. Now I can tell you the mistakes I made, what I did right, what I did wrong.
Right.
So
Right. Everybody here at this table has had their parent or their grandparent or somebody older, be like, don't do that, young blood. And don't do what I
You
did.
gonna find out.
You gonna
You gonna
find
learn,
out.
yeah.
If you do that, this is gonna happen.
right.
Because I did it. And I don't
Yeah.
want you to go through
They're
it.
right.
And
Like
it's true.
always, yeah.
So, we have experiences that we can share because not all of them have been positive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can go, okay, I
Right.
zigged when I should have zagged.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we got to realize that the experiences that we have, they're still valuable, whether they're positive or negative or whatever, however you want to see them, but they can still
an
guide your
experience.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
still your experience. So Coach Chris, let me ask you this. What would you say? Can you give me an example or funny story and anecdote? Because you are a comedian.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, I want to know maybe one of your most interesting coaching experiences. You don't have to say any names, but
I guess I've had a guy that comes in that can be very, very stubborn about things. And like I said to him, I said, like we could literally bring Muhammad Ali and Rocky Marciano and George Foreman back from the dead, and they could all tell you should do this, and you would argue with those guys. And he just doesn't want to get it. It's like
Yeah.
we try to explain and this guy, and he's not the only one. Other people have been the similar, like with weight classes in boxing, right?
Mm.
So like at first you think, oh, if you come in like when I first started boxing, I was 180 something pounds,
Mm.
and my coach is like, you don't want to box at 180 something pounds because you're not a healthy 180 something pounds.
Mm.
There's people who are naturally like that's their weight class, and I ended up dropping like 30 pounds before I started competing, and I'm glad I listened because me boxing at like 180 something pounds, I would have got wrecked
Mm.
bad.
Mm.
But I probably would never have been able to keep that weight on anyway because the training is so intense.
Mm.
But I think a lot of times when people hear things and they've never heard it before, sometimes it's hard to just tell yourself, don't discredit what this person's saying. This person knows what they're talking about,
Right.
even if it doesn't seem like that makes sense. It actually does.
Gotcha.
What about you? Since I know you're early in your coaching career, have you had any coaching experiences so far that you can maybe share with the listeners of this podcast?
Hmm. I don't know if it's funny or not, but it was just the experience with Walk Up doing his IKB fight. That was fun.
Go
That was an
ahead.
interesting. Like I actually got to kind of like you're the Sifu of the school and everything, but like you're teaching class, so me and him on the side. Walk Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. He did a IKB fight like a month ago, and
Maybe about a month and a half. It's
so
been
I
a
was
minute.
kind of like his coach,
Yeah.
right? Just working with him, sparring with him, his training partner, not just coach, but training partner. But I kept telling him, like it as you say, it's basics. I've heard a lot of people say that, even like with a boxing thing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like usually the better boxer is not the guy with the flashy punches; it's the guy with the better basics, better
Mhm.
footwork,
Mhm.
Foundation.
the better
Mhm.
foundation. And we were doing drills just like walking with your punches, stepping with your strikes, keeping your hands up, moving your head offline, not dipping down, stuff like that, right? And he would agree, but he'd kind of like la la la,
Mhm. Mhm.
And then in his fight, he did great, by the way. He won one, he lost one. That's the same result I had when I did it. Like he did good, but he came afterwards. He's like, I should have listened more to what you said. I was like, yeah, now.
Duh.
I was like, now you know.
See?
Like he's watching the video, his hands are all over the place. He like the first time he got hit, he's like, oh my gosh, like what is going on?
Right,
Like
right.
I was like, it's semi-contact, but do not like think it's still going to be much more intense than a light spar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're
Right.
going to get tagged
Right.
especially if you don't move your head and keep your hands down.
Right.
So,
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny. He did great, but he's like, yeah, I should have listened a little more.
Man, listen. Not really funny, but like I remember I learned
Oh, man.
I learned a lot from coaching Rhett. So Rhett came in, and Rhett, you know
The Rhett I know, yeah.
yeah. You hadn't met Rhett, but Rhett is an experienced martial artist, man. Rhett's good. Rhett, I met Rhett was doing boxing, Rhett was doing judo, Rhett has done like I don't know, it was like a karate or kempo. He was doing kung fu here for a while. I mean, Rhett was good,
Yeah.
And so I saw Rhett's experience, and Rhett wanted to do Lei Tai. And I said, you know what? Sure, go ahead. I think you're ready. I mean, like Rhett was no scrub.
Right.
He was good. But then again, sometimes you just learn. And so Rhett got in that Lei Tai fight, and when Rhett took that good shot, it just woke him up, and he was like, "Where am I? What is going on?" And he never recovered, and you could see it. Yeah, and it sucked because you have that, like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Well, he got punched in the face, and that plan never manifested.
Yeah.
He really, and so, I had to learn that even though that people come in here, they may have all the experience in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have experience in that arena.
Yeah.
And I got to treat them like, okay, just because you're experienced in martial arts, you're not experienced for that.
Every single person who has done it, even there, people I didn't really know, like is Sifu Chris.
Chris, which one?
It's W.
Weeks.
Is it Weeks or Weeks?
Weeks.
Yes, Sifu Chris. Even him, I've seen him at the tournaments, but even he told me, it's different.
It is.
And I've heard a lot of people say that those exact two words, like it's different.
It's different.
And it's different.
It is. I mean,
it's
different. And I'm sure, like, you probably say the same thing. People be in the boxing ring, man, they're looking good, looking good in training. And then they get in that ring. And they hear the ding.
In front of those people, too.
And they get in front of those people. And then they take that first punch. What do you normally see with a lot of people? Is it that fight or flight or freeze? Or you go, oh, no, what is happening?
I've seen the situation, even if someone's gets sloppy, when someone comes at someone relentless, that first 30 to 45 seconds can be so intense. And I've seen people who are pretty good lose because they just succumb to the pressure. So
Right.
like even if your defense is good, you at least have to throw back. But if your defense isn't good and you're not throwing back, they're just gonna wave the fight off.
Mm.
And that's when a lot of people reevaluate whether they want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And
For
definitely
sure.
as coaches, like I think that's the hard part when you have somebody and they have a bad experience and you're like, okay, how can I build you back up?
Yeah. Even at the point I'm at in my training right now, like there are a lot of drills we run, and I look pretty decent. At least I feel like I'm pretty decent, But then sometimes in the sparring, the bad habits still come out. It's just like repetition, I suppose. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna keep grinding, keep trying
You
to
just got to
get better.
keep. You just got to keep. And to be honest, everybody here knows that sometimes like the most boringest drills and training are what's gonna help just iron some
Yeah.
of that out.
Right. Right. I always said that too. Like everybody wants that end goal, but they're not willing to do what it takes to get
Right.
there. And
Right.
in order to get what you want, you have to be willing to do things you don't want to do.
Right. Right.
I saw a commercial recently. I can't remember what it was for, but in the commercial it stated, "You can't wait for motivation."
Yeah, that's right.
So I can't tell you how many times I've went running and I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It can be hard.
David
can be
Goggins says
hard.
he fights that battle every morning looking at his shoes.
I
Like,
believe it.
He'll sit there and look at his shoes for about 30 minutes before he puts them on and goes for a run. But
Listen,
uh,
I mean,
man.
a good coach should be. I think a good coach should practice what they preach.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, particularly in the martial arts. So let me take it from a martial arts arena. You should be able to still be able to do in some respect what you claim to be coaching. And if you're not able to do it, it should be because of maybe a medical issue or maybe you had an injury or something, but you can still explain it. But you need to be active. And to me, all the good teachers and coaches that I have been around or talked to have always, like you said, led from the front.
Mm.
It's like, man, I don't want to put gloves on with that dude.
Right.
I don't care if he's still 70 years
Right.
old. I don't
Right.
want to do that because that dude that he knows what he's doing. And I've seen him and he's taught me. And I know that, even though we're drilling, he's just playing with me. He ain't serious.
Right.
So, I have that respect. So I definitely would say, like, I think in this culture, particularly going back to the martial arts arena, and I don't know if you have it in the boxing arena where you have some people that, I've done a few classes, so now I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm
try
doing.
not to be that guy, man. Like I'm like a white belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm like, oh yeah, come on, let me show you what I'm totally that guy. Like those memes, they're about me. I'm telling you, they're about me. But like I try not to do it in such a way where I'm, pardon my French, but like talking out of my ass, right?
Yeah.
Like I only will talk on what I am confident in.
Right.
I will straight up tell you, like, okay, I have no clue about that. So I at least try to do that.
I mean, Coach, have you seen some people like, you're like, man, that guy don't know what he's doing, man.
Yeah.
But do you experience that in the boxing world? Is that something that you see? Because I know in the martial arts world, we see it all the time.
Yeah, sometimes people really shouldn't be saying anything. Like they were just in their sparring, and it's like, with your performance, maybe you shouldn't be giving someone else advice.
Mm.
I'm not saying that you don't.
Right.
I'm not saying you don't see things and that you're right.
Right.
But don't get too cocky into thinking
Yeah.
that you just because you get a couple of things right that you know exactly what you're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
I remember one time at my gym, another coach came and one of our people was like saying something. This coach was like, "Don't speak to my boxers."
Right. I could
Yeah.
respect that though. I could totally respect that. Like, I think I actually haven't even like really talked to anybody. Like, let me put it like this: like, I'm pretty new. I still consider myself pretty green in martial arts. Like, I've been here 3 years, right? And I trained like another place for maybe half a year. So, doing like wrestling and like Thai boxing and boxing. But golly, where was I going with this? It's like, golly, I'm losing my train of thought.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Exactly. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. Like what we were just talking about. Like I'll speak on things I know, but okay. Here's where I was going with it. Right, leading up to my fight. Right, I didn't really have one voice in my head. I had like coaches, and I would take bits and pieces here and there, which I think is a great thing to get knowledge from other people. But I think if you are going into a fight, you do need a coach,
A primary
a
coach.
coach.
Right.
Right. That's the voice you need in your head. At
Right.
least in that, like, whatever you want to call it, a camp or etc. Like I feel like that's beneficial to have a good solid coach. Like
That
not
makes
that you
sense.
can't listen to other people, but it's like if you're developing a strategy or whatever it is, you know, I can totally understand why people would say don't try to coach my fighter.
Mhm.
So I would respect it.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with that coach, I mean, like, is that just like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to your fighter, or just like,
Yeah, better just leave
understand?
it alone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's like if he would allow you to train with him or something, you train, but you do what the coach would say. It's not like, oh no, try this. It's like, no, don't
Mhm.
try that. You
Yeah.
listen to your coach.
Yeah. So one
Yeah,
thing
I would shut up.
I think one thing that maybe we should, touch on real quick, before we end this podcast is maybe like the culture of coaching, because there's a kind of unspoken respect where you as a coach, I'm not going to come in and step on your shoes or on your toes in your space unless you ask me to come by, you
Yeah.
know, like you've asked me to come by and do some coaching. I've asked you to come by and do some
Yeah.
coaching. I've asked you to, hey, coach this person.
Right.
You've asked me, hey, can you work with this person?
Right.
you
And
know.
even so, I would never like take somebody and give them, what do you call it? Like different information, or I don't know what you want to. I still try to always be respectful. Like, can I show this? Etc.
Right. Right.
I would never want to be that guy who
Right.
oversteps a boundary or comes into a new gym and say, "Oh, I know
Like,
what I'm doing." Like, no,
like
absolutely
I'll
not.
give you a quick example, like Sierra. I think Sierra works really well with you. Sierra is a new student here, and it's like you have a good rapport with her. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
That's why earlier when
She
she's
said
like,
she never jogged a mile. Got her to jog a mile.
there you
today.
go, right?
Yeah. She did great.
And so it's like, no. She was like, oh, you're gonna spar with me. I'm like, yeah, we might spar, but
Right.
you're gonna learn from that guy. That guy's gonna help you.
I feel like again, I'm new, but I'm not so new that like 3 years isn't nothing. I can show you a few things. You know what I'm saying? Show you the ropes of like if you're new. So
But here's the thing, and I'm sure Coach can tell you this. You don't know how many people don't even make it that far.
yeah,
They don't even make it that far.
yeah,
You probably have a lot more experience than a lot more people than you know of.
yeah.
But what
all those
is,
sparring matches and even
Yeah.
the different arena than
Yeah.
the full
Yeah,
contact, like
yeah.
it's adding up.
you've had
it
a
adds up.
lot of experience,
But it's like you can never. I don't know. I always like gotta bring myself back to like I treat every time like square one.
But
you
what
know
it is,
I mean?
what it
Like,
is you're comparing yourself to other people in your arena now, because
yeah.
you're going, man, that guy's got 20 something years experience. That guy's got like
I mean,
40, 50
sometimes,
years
yeah.
experience, So you go, oh, I only got 3 years experience, so I don't have a lot of experience. And maybe compared to some other people, you don't, but compared to a lot of people, you do.
Yeah.
So you got to always look at the perspective of, okay, like you just said, yeah, I can teach on what I know. I can coach on what I know.
Right.
But I'm still learning myself.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And there's nothing
Still
wrong with
learning
that.
myself.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That'll be a forever thing.
Right.
you
And
know?
there's nothing wrong with that.
Student of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. But I mean, I can, and I'm sure coaches experience this, but particularly more so in the kung fu community, it is a lot more lenient now than it once was. But at one point, if I knew my student was training with somebody else and they didn't tell me, oh, that was a no. You can do
Right.
that.
I'm actually very appreciative of that.
You
Like
didn't do
I've
that.
told you this before,
Yeah.
even on a podcast. But I feel like if I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing back in the older
Oh,
days.
no,
like,
not
That
really,
wouldn't
not
happen.
really, no.
That wouldn't happen. It's like you trained where with who?
Right. And you didn't tell me. You just went.
Get out. Yeah.
You know. I mean, I don't know if they do. I don't know if you have to do that in the boxing community where, like, if you got your coach, do you have to like be like, hey, coach, I'm gonna go to this other gym and train for a little while. Is that okay, or is it like you just go wherever you want? How does that work?
You typically should run that by them first before you go
At
somewhere
least
else.
tell them. Okay.
And hope, because a lot of times other gyms, they might be like, oh, somebody from another gym, let's just beat this person's ass. And it's like, which is horrible, but it happens.
Mm.
Oh, this guy's by himself. He doesn't even go there with a coach. He just comes by himself. And everybody's like, well, I guess, we'll just jump this guy. Not
Oh,
everybody at once, but,
right.
take advantage of somebody because they're from another gym.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
you got to be careful with that. And I'm sure it happens in every type of martial art.
Right.
You're always going to have, most of us are pretty good, down to earth people because of what we've been through. But then there's
Right.
always the exception to the rule.
Like I feel like it's a respect thing to run it by your Sifu, your coach.
I think
Like,
you should.
you should run it by them, and like you don't necessarily have to explain everything, give a detail, but it's like, okay, well, what, like, it'd be nice to know,
Right.
like, why, like sometimes it may be a time thing, a schedule thing, a money thing, who knows. It's not always necessarily saying like, I don't like your coaching, I want to go somewhere else. It's just like, well, let me go try this, or me even like, it's the simple curiosity of wanting to try different places in our area and different styles.
And you should,
You know,
and
like,
I don't think
I like
there's anything
grappling, I
wrong
want to
with
try
that.
boxing, like,
I don't think there's anything
Right,
wrong with that.
right.
But
Just be honest.
yeah,
just be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest. Yeah.
just be honest. This is what I teach. This is what I'm doing. If I don't do that, go here. And so what happened to a lot of old school is that, especially in the kung fu community, this happened a lot. Maybe a teacher would teach you for a certain amount of time, and if they got to the point where they felt like they couldn't teach you as much anymore, they may say, "Hey, go see my friend over here. He can train you."
Mm-hmm.
You know. But it was kind of like, okay, I've reached a limit to where I think I can with you, and now go here.
Yep.
Not just up and leave.
I think it's beneficial to get with people, like I said earlier, always going back to like square one, never thinking like your experience does add up. It does. But like I have this mentality of like, it's kind of humbling when you're over here. Doesn't even just apply to martial arts. This could be like a job, right? Say you've worked this job 10 years and you're top dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then poof, like no more job, no more company. And then you got to start over. And that devastates people.
It does.
That can devastate people.
It
So
does.
I always have this like, day one mentality kind of thing. Like, it's like you got to stay humble, but it's beneficial to go to like other places and train with people you don't know.
Right.
Even if you have experience and,
Right.
you're honest, you're like, I've done this, I've done such and such, and it's good for you.
It should be. It should be. So, Coach, you got any advice to anybody out there in YouTube coaching land, or excuse me, YouTube podcast land, not coaching land, but that maybe they're wanting to get into coaching? What advice would you give them on, how could you do that, or any advice? Maybe you got a young coach out there and they're trying to glean from your wisdom. What do you have for them?
To coach and teach, you must, learn from someone first and get their advice and then make it your own, but still adhere to a certain standard of what it's supposed to be. That definitely helps out a lot.
Mm.
Yes, because like if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be opening up anything or starting anything.
Right.
So make sure you have a good foundation as a student yourself first before you start teaching or coaching or whatever your title would be.
Gotcha.
What about you, Coach, as a young coach?
I'm following what he said just now. I'm going to keep trying to get my experience, keep learning. But what I would say is just, show up first and foremost. Like, like you said, some people don't make it that far. And the truth of it is like, you're not going to learn everything in a day.
No, of course
You're
not.
just not. It's years. I mean, like I'm in this 3 years and I'm scratching the surface. Literally scratching the surface. So
I will definitely say that I am probably a better martial artist from teaching than I was when I was actually like just training regularly.
yeah.
Yes.
Because now I literally have to be able to see it, analyze it, break it down, be able to explain it, be able to do it.
Yeah.
Do it right and make sure they're doing it
And make
right.
sure they're doing it right. There's so many different things that go into being a good coach that now it's like, man, I'm so much better now because I get it now. To learn to teach once is to learn twice.
Yeah. It's funny you said that, not to drag it out, but like even at the job I work right now, I just got told today that they're hiring a new person and they're putting me in charge of like showing them the ropes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I literally told him, I was like, I'm better at teaching, I feel like, than I am at doing the job. So I would gladly do that.
Yeah. I mean, and to also know that this is something that there's something exciting when you see whoever it is you're coaching get it.
I was about to say that earlier. I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the biggest reasons I want to get into coaching is like sometimes it is more rewarding seeing other people's progress from something you've helped them with than your own progress.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
very rewarding. Especially when they listen, they want to.
You know what I've also realized, and I know both of you are starting to see this. It is a true skill to be able to transfer skill. Like that person, you see that person from where they were to what they are now, you go, yeah, man, I helped build that person.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing now. You know, and you can see the fruits of your life. It's like being a parent, like watching your kid grow.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh man, my kid is a doctor.
Mhm.
I helped that person become a doctor or the president of the United States or
Yeah.
whatever. And you were able to help facilitate that, you know? And so like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize now that I'm getting older that you're starting to see like the lineage and you kind of go back and after you coach for a while, you start looking at things, you go, man, okay, got a pretty decent lineage tree.
Mm.
This is the fruit of your labor is starting to bear and you're going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, it's so super rewarding to see, you know, like Trevor, you know, Trevor's teaching people. And then I see his student do well at a competition. I go, man, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
That's
doing something right.
Pretty awesome.
It is. It feels good. And
Yeah.
and I'm sure coaches coach somebody and then they win a fight and you go, okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
That's gotta be
Doing
a
something
great
right.
feeling.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be harder than being in the ring.
I told you when walk up was about to start, I was like my heart is beating more now
Right.
than it was when I was
When you're
doing
in the
mine.
ring.
Like and that was true. Like I felt for him.
Yeah, you do. You do. And that's the sign of a good coach, man. And
Oh,
you
man.
know, and you got to look at it. He probably, I'll be honest, he probably wouldn't have done as well if he didn't have your guidance. And so you should take some credit for that because like it's like, hey, like I helped facilitate some of that. I helped nurture this person. You're not being cocky. It's just the truth,
Right.
you know. And so I think sometimes,
Even if you, whatever you call it, coach, even if you just call it training partner, I mean, I know firsthand how valuable that
oh
is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a training partner. So
And I know as coaches sometimes like yeah we're always taught to be humble, but sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back and say you know what I did a good job.
yeah.
I did a good job on that one, and it's okay. So, but you know, my advice to anybody who wants to coach is, please become one if you can. Be skilled at what you do, and because we need coaches. We need coaches. That's what's wrong with a lot of our society now. We don't have enough people coaching. We don't have enough people good coaching. You
Mhm.
know, you need good coaches. You need good role models. You got a lot of children who sometimes don't have the role models in their home, and they need you. A lot of times, especially for guys, I've learned that I've become a father figure to a lot of young people who maybe don't have their father around or something has happened. And these people are coming to me with their life issues, not just whatever martial arts,
Yeah.
talking to me about their marriages or their kids or whatever it is. So become a coach if you can, because I promise you, you will affect somebody's life in a positive way, and you won't even know. And if you can, you know, assist somebody with, you know, being better in their life, I mean, that's what this world needs. We need more positivity like that. So coaches, you guys got anything before we get out of here? Do you wanna tag this again? before you get out of here, Coach Chris?
Yeah, just check out Light Bright Boxing on Facebook and Instagram to see all the updates with the upcoming events.
All right, and we're gonna maybe tag this at the end here in the comments, or we'll have it in the description so you guys can find it. But yeah, go out, go see some amateur boxing. It's gonna be great. I mean, we might even see our own Coach Joe out there doing some amateur boxing. But it's a possibility out there, you know.
That's possible.
It's a possibility. But his coach has got to make sure that he's ready.
That's right.
And
Yes,
he will make sure. So
Yes, sir.
so we'll see. But Coach Joe, you got anything before you get out of here?
No, that's it. Okay, one very, 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 very last thing. Like we was talking about, you know, seeing the fruits of your labor. I have been told kind of recent, there was a teen in here and I was explaining something, and one of the best compliments I've gotten here, not about my work, but she just said, I like the way you explain things. It helped me.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me get it. And I was like, you know, that was awesome.
Yeah. Seriously. Like I said, look, man, I'm telling you, when you have those moments, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm doing something. You know,
Right.
it motivates you.
Right.
And so, you know, I live for those moments, and I was excited to before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to John Cabre. John's been
Hey.
on the show.
Good coach.
John is a great coach.
Good coach. Yep.
John is listen, if you look, it was so amazing to see him take that group of budding martial artists, and he broke it down. And the way he was saying things, I even listened to him and I said, oh, that's good. I'm gonna use that. That's really good,
It's
John.
like he's like better at explaining it than like receiving it almost. Like
Mhm.
like I don't know how to explain it, but he's a good coach.
He's an excellent coach.
I can tell he's got experience with it too, with all the things he does, like his extracurricular activities. You know? So coaches basketball, and I think it was track, right? But like,
Yeah, I know he does some things with Special Olympics and
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
But I mean, he's an excellent coach. So shout out to you, John. You're an excellent coach. You know, I want to give you your flowers, bro.
Mhm.
Keep pounding. Keep doing what you do. So again, Light Bright Boxing is presenting the 2025 Winter Fight Night. And even though he didn't announce this, Chris Corrado is going to be the ring announcer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so trust me, he's an entertaining ring announcer. So you'll definitely want to come and hear what he has to say. That's going to be Saturday, December 13th. Doors are going to open at 4 p.m. Bell time is at 5. And it's going to be at Rock Hill Gymnastics, 400 Mount Gallant Road, Rock Hill, South Carolina, 29730. General admission is going to be $20. VIP is going to be $40. What do you get with VIP?
Just get closer, which is beneficial. I mean, you know, it's about as close as you can get without.
Get in the action.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Because there's the ring, then there's the officials table, and then there's you.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Well, guys, again, thank you guys for being on here, talking about coaching. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this, because a lot of these topics, I mean, they're just so expansive. You could talk about this
Yeah.
all day
it's
long.
endless. Yeah.
So guys, thank you for listening again. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And this is Martial Mentality, signing out. Peace.